right, I'm TJ Rogan from Overmind.com, and we are here today with the beautiful Lights. Now, this is going to be a very redundant question, but obviously, for anyone crazy enough to not have heard Lights before, what do you do?
I am an electronic musician, and I do keyboards and vocals and awkward dance moves.
You know, as a slight icebreaker, what do you think is the worst fruit to put in a fruit salad?
Melon. It's a filler. Don't you experience that?
Like,
Do you know when you get fruit salads and it's just full of melon and there's like a couple grapes on top and a strawberry? And you're like, oh, this is good. And then you eat the strawberry and the grapes and it's just melon.
so we're talking like the green or the orange melons?
Both, and combine them. It's like,
Not a melon fan at all.
well, I like melon, but I want more bang for my buck. There's like big chunks of melon. There's like 3 of them.
All right, so starting this interview off, we have one traditional question, and that's to describe your own sound. But the catch is you can only use one word, it cannot be a genre, and it cannot be an automatopoeia.
Oh. Well, it's gonna take up the whole 10 minutes. Let's see. I would say, oh, that's so hard. Because the beauty of it is dynamics and the changes in every song and how each song has its own life. I would say bangers.
Is there a reason you chose bangers?
It means a couple different things. And so it describes different things you can experience with different kinds of songs.
I'll take that.
Aim all on that one.
Let everyone out there question. So I got tweeted a bunch of questions today that they specifically wanted to ask you, how was it working with Bo? That must have been a very interesting experience.
Yeah, well, I mean, very comfortable as I know him pretty well. But it was good. I mean, they were all recording with Joey Sturgis out at this like big mansion in Rochester, Michigan. You know, you're in the middle of nowhere, except for you're near Eminem's house, which is kind of interesting. We drove by it. Which is trumped by the guy who invented QR codes, or barcodes. Huge mansion, guy who invented barcodes, because they're on everything. Okay, back to the point though. It was good. They were it was the last few days of them making their record, and they're really crunched for time, so Bo was downstairs recording a different song, and I'm upstairs recording the vocals for Open Water, and then he would jump up and do a couple of vocals and then run back down. So it was really nice, and beautiful song. It's nice to do something together.
And how was it kind of like working with those two bands who are a completely different genre than your own?
It's awesome to do that kind of stuff. I've worked with people in all kinds of different genres. You know, I have vocals on the new Maestro or the new Shad record, which is hip hop. And then I've done stuff with the guys in the EDM. We're all like Cascade and Deadmau5, and now working with these guys in the Warped Tour world. I think it's important to do that kind of stuff. I mean, you kind of start to learn where your vocals fit in all these different worlds, and there's a little niche for it, and you kind of create yourself a corner, and then people notice it when you do it, and I think that's awesome because you're getting people that wouldn't normally listen to your music, and it's nice. I appreciate every minute of it.
That's pretty cool. You mentioned Warped Tour, and we had an interview back with Bo
Oh, really?
back in June of this year, and we asked him one question. He promised me.
In Seattle?
It was in Seattle.
Melbourne, yeah.
He promised me, and everyone wanted to make sure that this was true. Did he tell you his random fact he learned that day?
He tells me a lot of random facts he learns every day. I don't know, depends what it is. I'll tell you if I know it.
It happened to be with koalas.
He might have. I absorb a lot of facts, you know? Even now, I'm absorbing your facts. So he might have. What was the fact?
So you can tell me if Bo Boken kept his promise to
Okay.
everyone.
Okay, now I gotta stand by my husband here. Yes, he told me.
So Bo Boken, because we end this interview like this, so you can actually think about this as we're going. You saved a lot of facts. We usually end interviews with, you know, we want everyone to learn one fact of the day, right? And Bo could not think of one, so he's like, well, you know what? Put me on the spot. Tell me a random fact of the day. And I told him, did you know that koala bears have 2 penises?
What? That's crazy. All of them, even the girls?
They both, 2 sets of genitalia, all koalas.
So they have penises and vaginas, or just penises?
Males have 2 penises, females have 2 vaginas.
That's crazy. Well, I'm surprised you didn't tell me that, to be honest. Bo, you didn't tell me about some koala facts. Yeah, I did. You did? Koalas have 2 penises. Now you're telling me.
I don't know if that's true.
Still hasn't confirmed it.
So usually like bands have riders on their bills, and but they're usually really humble, right? They want 6 bottles of water, whatever. If you could have anything you want in a rider, like absolutely anything, what would you have as your dream rider?
To be honest, my rider's awesome. I love my rider, and we have a pretty good one. I mean, it's like hummus and vegetables and water and some white Zinfandel and, you know, dried mango, just like very healthy things that keep me going on the road, you know? I don't think I'd want much more than that, because, you know, there's always these people out there that judge bands on their riders. Then they make it public and they're like, this band's a piece of shit because they want this on their rider. And it's like, hey, well, I'll just make sure I never ask for anything too crazy then, all right? Sorry.
So no 4 koalas in your rider at all?
Well, I'm not sure koala meat's that great. So, but it might be.
But it could be live koalas just hanging off the trees.
That'd be nice. That'd be nice. You know what? If I really got to have anything on my rider that I wanted, I would probably have just like a big furry cat every day, just for tactile pleasures, and a new one every day, but furry.
So a lot of times we try to promote musicians, like independent musicians still upcoming, and you said you work with a lot of musicians. So is there any musicians that you think like really deserve a view, that like on Facebook, who aren't playing the big Warped Tours, the huge EDM concerts, or even a festival like this?
It's a good question. I mean, a lot of the people that I've backed I've seen grow and into being able to do those kind of things. So, you know what? There's a band that is from out here, actually. No, you know what? They'll be big out here. They're awesome. They're called Deer Rouge. We played with them a couple times. They've done some really great songs, and I have to. That's probably who I'll go with. Deer Rouge. They're awesome. I mean, they're probably big out here, but they're wicked. I like them.
Let's check in the time. All right, we have one more question. So I'll end this because I know you have to go to your meet and greet. So, last edition of these interviews, we've asked them in every single interview. We want everyone to go home, learn one fact of the day, tell their parents, mommy, 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 I learned something today that's really interesting. So what would be Lights' random fact of the day?
Well, I'm not sure if people know this. I'm sure there are some people that do. That's the point of facts, right? But some people won't. That they're planning to colonize Mars in 2023. Did you hear about that?
No, I do not.
They're taking, actually yesterday was the last date to send an application form, and they've received about 150,000 applications or something for a one-way trip to Mars in 2023 for the Mars colonization by a company called Mars One. And it blows my mind. I'm always kind of just thinking about it. I always catch myself thinking about it because, I mean, we all know how that's going to end. Well, we all think we know how that's going to end. So let's just hope I'm kind of rooting for it, you know?
So, I'll end with this. If you got the opportunity to go to Mars, one-way trip, what would you miss the most, and what would you have to take?
I would miss everything. I thought about submitting, I won't lie, because it's just an amazing, like, who goes to Mars and doesn't come back? Well, how's it gonna be? But then I thought, if you isolate, 30 or 40 people or however many they're sending it's a 9-month trip to get there. They're training for 7 years before they go, and then they're gonna live there forever, indefinitely. There's no trip home. Someone could just go batshit and kill everyone.
Wow.
Right?
I didn't
And there's
think of
no
that.
cops on Mars.
Yeah.
At least I don't think so.
What if they send a cop?
That's true. There could be like a law enforcer, but then that becomes social roles, and then suddenly it's like, when you enclose people in an isolated environment. Have you seen or have you read the book Under the Dome by Stephen King? He kind of looks at that. This little town gets covered in a dome, and then you look at the social structures that evolve within that dome because they're isolated, and suddenly people are taking roles that they shouldn't. And I would probably just bring a big knife or something. Is that heavy?
Well, that was an interesting ending that I did not expect. A large knife. And all right, I'm TJ Rowe from Overmind.com, and this was Lights. If Bo could give dating advice to someone, what would be Bo's best dating advice?
Oh man, on what specifically? Nothing, just dating in general.
I just got dating advice.
No, okay.